In this segment, we're going to talk about selective prosecution and what they did with Gary. You cannot take an individual and select them out and prosecute them. It's unfair protection in the law. You have absolute right to have equal protection under the law. It's a fundamental right that we all have. Pond owners all around Gary were issued permits. Gary was issued permits. And then they reversed the permit to make a case with him. We believe it's because they were trying to cover up their tracks for other crimes that were committed by them against the people of Oregon. And I think we can quite clearly prove that. Now, if you have other pond owners, which in this case there were 53 other pond owners that were issued permits right in his area, what's called the Big Butte watershed, and 17 of those were diverting water from streams that were tributaries of the Big Butte Creek, and of those, several of them list as the source water going into their pond the Big Butte Creek itself. The problem is that those rights were exclusively granted to the city of Medford. They did not belong to the OWRD anymore. They were withdrawn from appropriation and they were given exclusively to the city of Medford, which means that only the city of Medford could have brought the charge against Gary, and they did not. So the OWRD now prosecutes one person after they've denied permits to him, the permits that were granted. Bear in mind, Gary got the permits after about a year of they telling him he had to have the permit, and then he was denied. They pulled the permits from him. So there's no question of safety in these dams. There's no question of their allowability. The question is whether the water going into them could be contained as a water right. They're saying that the reason they pulled the permits, was because they'd already given those rights to the city of Medford. How then can they prosecute him and everybody else they don't? And they claim, well, they gave them exemptions, or they gave them waivers, or they had prior permits. The problem is that they gave other people permits well after the extensions for those things were in existence, further showing selective prosecution. Secondly, they never had the right to issue the permit or the waiver or any of those in the first place because they were issued to the city of Medford.